It's an absolute privilege and a pleasure, and we'll call this the third time lucky for us because between my Wi-Fi faux pas and Chantel's issues with pets and everything else not towing the line, but they say good things are worth waiting for. Chantelle, it's a privilege and a pleasure to finally welcome you to Enswell Boxing. And how's everything going for you?
Yeah, great. And it's good to be on here finally. Obviously, I had a bit of the drama with my dog the other day, but now I've finally got to sit down and have a chat with you.
We've had lots and lots of chats. We've had lots of conversations. We even got 5 minutes deep in this interview the other night, and
And
the
it
gremlin.
started off great as well. And then that link
Yeah,
was just really sharp. I sat there sitting on my own thinking, is he just pied me? That's why I was
I
sending
thought
you messages on Instagram, like, I'm still here.
I thought, oh God, she's after it. I thought the imposter syndrome was going to take over. I thought she's after rumbling me now. She knows I don't. But what we can't talk about too much is, and we have little golden rules here between us, and it's brilliant. It's really respect, and I really respect the little bit of connection that we're after building over time and contact and trust as such because it's the biggest thing of boxing. But we do have little golden rules that we can't mention dogs and certain habits that dogs have and how your poor dog gets the
Yeah,
blame for an awful lot around your house.
they're
So
our private chats.
yeah, we'll leave that in the background. But Chantal, what we started off with the other night was, and we'll just touch on it briefly again before we get into your story, is the clouds are really only starting to, I won't say they're lifting, but the doom and gloom and the impact of the passing of a fellow who I know always had great time for you and gave you a great time in Ricky Hatton. And we spoke quite well the
Yeah.
other night about it before we lost our connection. From Ireland, the impact is felt hugely because he had a great connection, and it was one of my golden moments on this podcast was to have Ricky on the show. Talk to us
Yeah.
what it's like around the UK at the moment. It really isn't going
So,
away,
do
is
you
it?
know what? It's not even just boxing, it's like the UK. Like, you don't even have to be a boxing fan to be a fan of Ricky Hatton. And that's the sort of personality he had. He was infectious. His personality, like, everyone just loved him. And it's a massive loss to his family, his friends, worldwide. He was such a character, and it's really sad. When I got the news, like, I thought, is this some shitty clickbait that, because
Mm,
you do get them clickbaits before, and you think that's a pretty messed up clickbait. Because someone sent me it, and I was like, that's got to be false news. And then I opened up my Instagram, and it was everywhere, and I was like, what the hell? Especially the fact he was 46 as well. It's
yeah,
just such a sad, sad loss. But it does also, like, open up your eyes that it doesn't matter. Like, life is so short. Life is so, so short, and you got to enjoy it whilst you're here. And I know that's like a cliche thing, but it's so easy to fall into bad habits and complain about your life and how tough it is and whatnot. But the bigger picture is we're only here for a small amount of time,
mm,
so just enjoy it.
yeah, absolutely. And
Really sad,
look,
really, really sad.
it is really sad. And somebody else I spoke to recently who would have been a big advocate of yours early doors, and
Yeah,
um, I don't want to jump the gun too much, would be someone who was feeling it probably more than many because she was around at the time when times were very different. And I'm going to mention the one and only, the absolute beautiful dote, as my nan would have said years ago, is Jane Couch. She's the
yeah.
advocate for everything that's good about boxing.
Oh,
And she's
really
told me
is.
herself she really is feeling this impact because he was such a special friend to her, wasn't
Jane Crouch, what an amazing woman. So I've met her a couple of times, and what a woman. She's just proper old school and a true, true fire. I think she's great. I've got a lot of time for Jane. And again, like, women's boxing, if she hadn't fought the border control, we wouldn't be here. So she's a proper advocate for women's boxing, and just the way she is as well, like her mentality. I think she's just great. I think she's a great, great all round person.
he? Yeah, and there's a great energy around Jane Couch. There always was.
Oh,
There's a
great
great like
energy. Yeah. She's
she
very
just and
uplifting. I find her uplifting.
to come through what she's come through over the years is incredible. But we're here to talk, and big shout out, Jen. If you're watching, you're always going to have a special place in my heart for what you did for me at the beginning. When I can say that somebody like Jane Couch took time to speak to me at the early time and any time when my phone pings or when something pings and it's a list of expletives from Jane Couch, it can't help but make the bad days good. But Chantel, there's lots of things I know about Northampton, and boxing wouldn't have been one of them over the years. We know Leicester rugby over the years. Leinster rugby ran into them quite a lot. There's rugby league. There's as an ardent Man United fan from my troubles, I can remember George Best scoring six against Northampton. But I didn't know about Northampton boxing until a certain lady by the name of Chantelle Cameron came along and broke our
Yeah.
hearts, by the way. We're just going to add this into the record for about 2 years ago, but we'll come to that. But talk to me about
You got
growing
your
up
own
in North.
back.
Talk to me about growing up. Talk. Oh, okay, she's just done it. That's the first one. I was expecting
I
that,
threw it
but she's
back. I
not
threw it
so.
back.
But yeah, okay, I have to plot that one. But growing up in Northampton, boxing, was it a big thing, or what was it that attracted you to boxing,
So
or was there many
I
sports
didn't
before
want to
you found it?
box. So I didn't want to box. It never was my dream to box. I was a kickboxer and I loved kickboxing. It was me and my dad's thing. We used to go all around the country and I'd be Saturday and Sunday competing in like numerous categories. So I'd be like fighting on one mat. I'd finish that fight and literally jump onto another mat, have another fight. And it was like that for like the whole day. It was long, long days and long weekends. But it got to a point in kickboxing where it was costing my dad a lot of money. And we're from a count like we ain't got money. Do you know what I mean? Like we're
Yeah.
council, money was hard. Like my dad was like working extremely hard to pay for me to do this sport that isn't an Olympic game. There's no money in it. Like it got to a point where my dad was taking me to these tournaments but not putting food in the fridge. And obviously my mum, my brothers and sisters, like I was just like, this isn't worth it. And I was about 16 at the time. And I packed it. Well, I didn't just pack it in because of that. It was kind of my kickboxing coach. My dad was taking. I'm from Northampton. My dad was taking me to Birmingham to train with a guy called Neil Kelly, and he's a great guy. Like he's a
Mm.
massive, massive part of my career to this day still. And he actually sat me and my dad down and was like, "There's no one for me to fight in the UK. They want a European to come in, but my dad was going to have to pay for her flights, pay for her team, pay everything." And like, I was like, absolutely not, Dad. That's crazy. To get a European title, my dad was going to have to pay all this money out. And I was like, I ain't doing that. Like, no. And then my kickboxing coach said to me, I think you should go into boxing. And it was literally around the same time as it was announced that women were going to be entering the 2012 Olympics. So I went to the boxing gym one session and I absolutely hated it. I hated it so much, and I was like, no. It was a no for me. I was like, not do not enjoy this one bit. It was like full of guys. When I walked in there, I felt like an alien. I felt like I had multiple heads and were just staring at me, and I just didn't like it. And I went back to kickboxing, and I was like, don't like it, blah blah blah. And it got to a point of I wasn't going to fight in kickboxing again because I was refusing to let my dad pay for this European title in gym and kind of had to suck it up. And I had my first boxing fight, and I loved it. So as soon as I had my first fight, absolutely loved it. And then again, sat down with my kickboxing coach, and he said to me, "I think you're really talented. I think you should go into boxing." And within, I think it was, I done a national boxing tournament with like only had three boxing fights, and I got signed up for England. So it was quite quick turnaround.
Yeah.
Three domestic fights, and I was boxing for England.
Now we talk about your amateur career. I was shocked. I know one of the things you're probably going to come back to me and tell me is that you weren't a great amateur. But when I looked at your amateur career and I looked at the names on that, I mean, that was a stacked division that you were in. You were in with Mira Potkonen. I can never pronounce that name.
Yeah, no,
Potkonen.
I can't. Don't ask me
Potkonen.
to pronounce
You were in
it.
Ochygava. You were in with, of course, you boxed Katie in the amateurs, which we will
Yeah.
come to again in a few minutes. But I mean, you had a hugely successful record. You won two of. I'm right in saying you won two ABAs.
So two ABAs, yeah, and I won EU gold and the EU silver.
Yeah, so like by the time that quick transition, it's fair to say you took to it like a duck to water, as we would say in Ireland.
So I didn't win the EU gold. That's a lie.
Well, we're not going to argue over. We're not
I
going to
got
argue
I
over.
got a silver and a bronze.
Yeah, well, listen, there's nobody's going to argue over the color too much. To be fair, when you get to that distance and you get to that close. But what I
Yeah.
wanted to look at, I suppose, and without getting too much time, taking too much time to look into it, the biggest transition from a kickboxer to a boxer, and I have this conversation with my son so many times, and he thinks it's better to be a kickboxer going to a boxer. Many people will tell you, would it be fair to say, and it's just something that I think, and that I'm really only coming to, I suppose, realize now, it's as much mindset as it is anything else. If you can get your head, if the athlete can get their head around the transition and the change, is that fair to say?
100%. So I done Thai boxing too. I done Thai boxing for
Of
a year.
course.
And that, like, it is just your mindset because you just got to listen to your coach. So I can remember when I first went into boxing, the transition was hard. Like, I'm not going to say it wasn't hard, it was, because there's techniques where you got to think about defending kicks, defending knees, um, all that goes with it. Like, your stance is completely different. So I can remember my boxing coach was on my case all the time. And to be honest, I was just thinking, leave me alone. Like, leave me alone. Just get off my back. But it paid off because I transitioned really quick. For kickboxing to transition into boxing, I transitioned really quick.
Mm,
So all the nagging and stuff, it paid off because it fast tracked me. But it was hard. Like, I remember shadow boxing, it'd be like wrong, wrong,
mm,
wrong, and I was thinking, oh, go away, just leave me alone.
yeah.
But
And
it paid off, so it was worth it.
yeah, but look, and when it came point in time and it came to the part of it had run its course, when you look back at your amateur career, is it something that you look back at with it was just a means to an end? It was was there
A
always a
means
path?
to an end.
Was it
I
always
didn't like damages.
how soon and how far along your amateur path and along your amateur career did you consider, did you start thinking, okay, because it was around about then, again after the 2012, was it 12? When was London? Yeah, 2012.
Yeah,
It was around about then that doors were really starting to open. And it's sad to say that's only, what are we, 20? That's barely 10, 12, 15 years ago. But it was really
yeah.
at that stage, doors were only starting to open for professional female boxers, which is, it's really crazy when you think how close, how recent that was, you know?
It's like yesterday as well. I can
Mm.
remember it was 2011. I got on Team GB, and I'd only been boxing a year, and I can remember it like it was yesterday because I was going to go in the army because I didn't want to do a 9 till 5. So I actually had an interview to go in the army, and I remember I got the phone call. And within a couple of days, I had a phone call from Rob McCracken saying, "Oh, we want to offer you a place to come up to Team GB." And I was like, "Oh, well, I'll go to Team GB then." It says me going to the army, and I went up to Team GB, and straight away they threw me into a training camp in Russia. So I really was thrown in the deep end.
And I've heard so many stories from our lads here, from our amateurs, from that time, Kenneth Egan, John Joe Nevin, Jason Quigley, people like that who have horror stories about the glory, the beauty of being opened those doors and being allowed into Russia was massive in boxing terms, but
Yeah.
in social terms and in in real world terms, where you're in the middle of nowhere, you're eating stuff that you
It
wouldn't
was
dream of.
horrible. It was
Horrific.
horrible. I can remember I tried nicking a Starbucks, tried nicking a Mars bar because like I was being fed like prison food, and it was Savannah and Nicola Adams that was all hungry, and there was no shop or nothing. And the Russian team, they was getting like Mars bars on their table, they was getting treats, and we wasn't. So at the end, it was near the end of the camp, and I was thinking, I want a Mars bar. So I took a Mars bar, and the woman caught me, and I shit myself. I thought she's going to chop my hands off. So I put the Mars bar back, and she just shouted at me. And I thought, I'm starving. Get me back to the UK. I need a snack.
To be fair, you couldn't be with a better bunch of lionesses to have Sav and Nicola Adams and people. Then what's she going to do? She's not going to beat you up anyway, that's for sure.
Honestly, she probably would have. She was so scary. I shit myself. I was like, I just put it straight back. I was like, sorry, can I buy one?
Listen, if you're that Russian shopkeeper lady that you happen to be watching this, you can now claim the fame that the unified world champion, soon to be two-time unified world champion, was stealing Mars bars in your shop and you gave her the chase. So that's your claim to fame.
I
But
just needed a chocolate fix. It was getting to the end of the week and I was sick of eating this food.
the early years as a pro, Chantelle, again, a massive transition, and people don't realize it. Jamie Conlon once told me that boxing, amateur boxing, and pro boxing is like pool and snooker. It's like total different sports, total different games. But the fact that you were able to transition so quickly as an amateur, as to that, did that help you then again when it came to the next step?
Easy. I loved it. I can remember when I first put on a small pair of gloves and
Oh
started
wow!
learning the pro style. I was like, yeah, this is like water for ducks back. I absolutely loved it. And I remember my first fight, the first shot I threw, because obviously my hands were wrapped properly, I had small gloves on, and I was like, yeah, this is a bit of me. Straight
Yeah,
away, as soon as the first punch I threw, I can remember it to the day I was in Wales. It was boxing my debut in Cardiff,
yeah.
and I was like, yeah, this is me. I loved it.
That debut came in 2017 on an Andrew Selby show, and again, boxing
Yeah.
moves so quick, and people are forget. If you thought Lee Selby was good, Andrew Selby
Oh,
was
Andrew, unbelievable. He
sensational.
was incredible. I was on
Sensational.
Team GB with him. He
Mm,
was so special, so
yeah,
talented.
he really did have it all. He really had it all. The
He did.
fantastic character, fantastic. He had the looks. I don't know. I still don't understand where this thing comes from. Cordina. We've Cordina from Wales. We've Selby from Wales. These
Yeah.
these these guys are coming out. Joe Calzaghe. They're coming out of place chiseled. They're coming out like Greek Adonises out of the mountains
Yeah.
of Wales. I don't know what's going on over there. But
They're drinking the correct water. That's what it is.
that's what it is. It must be flipping holy water or something they're drinking.
Yeah.
But I looked at again. I'm just glossing over, but until we get to the juicy bits. But I'm looking at your early career, Chantal. So 2017, you had 5 fights. 2018, you had 3 fights. 19, you're back to 4, and then 20 was down to 1. 20, I think, was that around COVID time, wasn't it? There wasn't a whole lot happening. But you were the key again to all amateur. My point where I'm going with this, the key to all young pros is to get you guys as busy and as out as often as possible, and that
Oh,
was
so important.
it was incredible for you, and it was an incredible time because it was a real movement. And I don't like calling women's boxing or females boxing because to me it's just boxing, it's all boxing. But it really was an exciting time, and it to be a part of that and leading the charge. It must have been a dream, really, was it?
It was incredible. Like it was great. Like it was new as well, and it was like people were getting more and more into it. So when I first started, it was kind of it's still the fact of women shouldn't be boxing, etc., etc., like the same old. And then it really started moving, and then like men were more interested in watching the women's fight because they found
Yeah,
it more entertaining. So you're seeing like the transition, and yeah, it's been exciting. I do think women's boxing took a big dip though.
yeah, I
think
think
it
so
took,
too.
I think it took like a big hit at the moment.
Yeah, I think so too, and we can probably discuss that a little bit, without getting too deep into weeds about it, because I think there's a lot of greed, and boxing is surrounded by greed. There's a lot of people want to get. I'll never say you take the easy way, but there's a lot of people out there, and I suppose when you're putting your livelihood and your life at risk when you're in these fights, as a, a good friend of mine was on your undercard for that great show in Dublin a few years
Yeah,
ago now, and John, he's no longer with us now. He's passed, and that was just a real. It was a real line in the sand for me, if I'm honest with you, and
yeah,
I'm still not 100% sure because the closest thing I have to a boxing home would be John's gym in Inchicore, and his coach was Stephen, and it hit hard. I tell you, it really did. But if nothing else, it reminds us that nobody is, as John says, tomorrow is not a given. Um,
exactly. It's 100%, and that's like it's so easy to forget that, but tomorrow's not given. Like just treat every day like it's your last day. But that's so cliche. Like it really is cliche, but it's also so important because it's the way you should live, and that's the way like my mindset is now because you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's around the corner, and I think enjoy life. You got nothing nice to say, then don't say nothing at all.
yeah, from your lips to God's ears, because that's something that definitely could be practiced a lot more on social media as well. But
Oh
listen,
yeah,
we're not
toxic.
here to deal with that. That's our
Not
page.
today.
Early on in your career, you start dating these opponents. I think it was 6 or 7 and 0, and I'm just looking at my notes here. You're looking at 6 and 7. You got Mary McGee, who was a
Yeah.
big name at the time, making big noise, anyways, because our American cousins love to do that. You were in Jessica McCaskill. You were in then, of course, that led all roads started to lead, and all things started to point towards a fight with Katie. But it was on, it was off, it was on, it was off. It was. Was it an ongoing thing for a long? And listen, I know you're entitled to there's, but it seemed to happen like when it did eventually come out of the blue. Well, we were led to believe that it came almost as a post on social media. Is that right, or is that fair to say?
It was no, it was Katie shouted me out on social media, and I was meant to be on the Anthony Joshua undercard at the time, but I actually pulled my tricep and sparred him. So I'd come back from camp, and obviously Jamie and my manager knew I'd injured myself sparring one of the lads in the gym. I threw a jab, and as he stepped in, I just felt my tricep like tear, and it was disgusting. It was so painful. And it's just mad how it worked out because the fight was coming up. It was like I can't remember. It was I can't remember. But basically, I was like, well, Katie should called me out, so I'm injured right now. That fight's too close. I'll fight Katie. Makes sense. Like bigger
Yeah.
fight that I've always wanted. So yeah, that's how the fight come about. And I was actually just got back from camp feeling sorry for myself because I hurt my arm, And then Katie Taylor goes and shouts me out on Instagram, and straight away I messaged my manager, messaged Jamie saying, pull me off the anti-Joshua card, not fighting, gonna fight Katie.
Right. So here we go now. Here we go. We're going to have some confessions there, and I'm going to be really honest.
Yeah.
The very first time I remember Chantelle Cameron coming across my radar as a boxing geek, I remember Shane McGuigan was talking about you for a while, and he was talking that you were specifically training that they believed. And listen, when the McGuigans speak, the boxing world listen, rightly or wrongly, that's still the way it is. I've got a lot of mixed thoughts and mixed feelings. We're not going into that debate. That's another his podcast, or for some other podcaster to do. But I do remember them saying very categorically, and listen, he's a recognized trainer. What he's done with fighters is incredible. So I started to look and I started to think, okay, this guy thinks he can beat Katie Taylor. Are they looking for the big fight? Are they not? But there's no reason to look for a big fight, because it's hard to come back if you're not ready for a fight of that size.
Yeah.
And here's my first confession. I'm going to be really honest with you. When the fight was made, I thought, she can't beat Katie.
Yeah.
And I'm actually feel really silly by saying that, but I have to be honest with you, because I remember
but it's your feelings, so that's how you felt. I get it.
But I started looking at it, and I didn't let myself look at it too long, because I don't know what, I had a feeling this might not happen. I just had a feeling there was shenanigans been played, and that's a personal thing that I pick up on. I just get this feeling: is this real? Is this not real? Is there someone playing games here? Is this going to get over the line? I'll be honest with you, Chantelle. Second confession: the very first time I went, oh shit. And I said this to you a message a few weeks ago. I saw you and Nige, and I love Nige. Big shout out to Nige. Man, if I can get to talk to that man someday, what a duo, what a pair. That man is half Irish for certain, and it's nothing to do with Peaky Blinders. The very first time I went,
he certainly put away the Guinness.
The very first time I went, oh shit, I've misread this. Was you two standing in the pint here
Saturday when there's people in here just to get an idea. But I suppose enjoy it now.
Yeah, and it mad being a
mad.
Like your legs go thinking, can I?
Yeah. Oh fucking it. What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? What the fuck? How the fuck did that happen? How the fuck did that happen? Yeah, but and that's it all, and all that energy is about you. This is not about, for them it is.
Yeah.
This is not about this is about you. This is about everything you do. You do it here. It's on you. I promise you. Promise you.
Yeah.
Promise you, man.
Give me goosebumps.
That was special.
Straight away, I want to ask you about that, but I went straight to YouTube and I went, look back, and I'm like, oh, you're after missing.
That was
here.
special. That was like really special, that moment, because I'll be honest, I was shitting myself. I was like, am I ready for this? Hand on my heart, I was like, am I ready for this? It was like, and they knew I was shitting myself. They knew, like, am I going to crumble? And I knew they knew it. I knew it. Like, we all knew it. Like, am I going to crumble? And I can remember we was in there and Nigel put his arm around me. Yeah. And he just, like, he made me feel invincible. They both of them made me feel invincible. And I was like, I can do this. And it just completely switched my mindset. And I still to this day don't think, and this isn't blowing smoke up my own ass when I think, but I generally don't think there's a lot of fighters that would have managed with the magnitude of going to Dublin to box Katie Taylor. It is hard going, and you have to be mentally so strong. And it was the first time where I've been like, bloody hell, I am mentally strong to handle that, because like it was so intense. And like, you're not just boxing a great fighter, I was fighting the nation. Like, I had to show that I could do this. And it was like, it was surreal. Like, now I look back, I do think like, wow, that was incredible. But that moment with Nigel, sometimes like when it comes up as a memory on my phone, it probably touches me, because I think that moment was so powerful. Like, I can't put it into words. It was just really powerful when he just got into my head that time. That it was like a couple of days before, and he really got into my head, because then it like got me pumped, thinking I can do this.
Talk to me a little bit, if you don't mind, before we get into that fight and get into the build up, because I hear exactly what you're saying, and I've got an axe to grind with our Irish boxing fraternity here, because I've long since maintained, and I said this to you quite a long time ago, and I'm not just blowing bubbles. I have no reason to blow bubbles. You got a bad deal. And I maintain that to this day. I think you were a unified champion. You're still a unified champion. You came here when the call was put out, when the bat sign went up, Chantelle Cameron answered that bat sign. You came to Dublin and you delivered what nobody else could deliver. Again, I'm not blowing bubbles. I'm going to underline all this by saying, if you come to Dublin next year and you fight Katie, this dickhead here is going to be shouting and roaring, and we're going to be, I'll talk to you after the fight.
Like that.
No, definitely not. There'll always be a respect. Always will be.
No, of course, no, I'm joking.
But no, 100%. You're an energy kind of girl. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
And you were able to feed off that energy. I remember watching Katie's ring walk that night. I'm getting goosebumps here, remembering if I could play it here and just play it. I will overdub it when I do the edit, but I will. The goosebumps and the energy that I got from just watching Nigel, because if you know Nigel as well as most boxing people do, you know he's not an idiot, because he plays the idiot and he acts the idiot, and he
he's so clever.
Goes around jockeying lads, and I know his background. He's worked with Mick Carney in the amateur boxing club. He set up the Fire Station Boxing Club. He's done incredible stuff over the years. His dad is steeped in boxing. He loves playing the fool and loves acting the maggot. But when I watched him on that, there was real emotion. There was real harnessing of an energy, and I just thought, we're in trouble there. I remember thinking at this time, I'm actually, the hair standing on my arm here, just remembering it. I remember watching Katie's ring walk. I remember thinking, this is her last fight. I remember that distinct feeling. I can remember the one was so slow. It was so composed. Talk to me about the energy in the ring that night as the away fighter, the unified champion.
Hand on my hat, if it wasn't for Jamie and Nigel, it would have been very different, because I probably would have got cold. I probably would have froze, and I probably would have like got engaged on that ring walk and the goosebumps, like you said. But Jamie and Nigel distracted me. They didn't give me the chance to acknowledge what was happening. So you wouldn't have seen it, but they were like making me laugh, which sounds insane, because they were making me laugh when I'm about to have the biggest fight of my life. But they wouldn't allow me to like get involved in what was going on the outside. It was just like, it was just me and them in that ring, and the outside was blank. And that's the best way to describe it, is it was just me and them. Nobody else and nothing else mattered. It was just like we was in the gym and we were just laughing. And people would probably thought like, why is she laughing? What a weirdo. Like, what an absolute weirdo, about to have a fight. And she stood there laughing. But they were doing things and giving me like trigger words and just making me laugh. And like the energy, I was so relaxed. And it was just like another day at the office. And I'm always going to be so grateful for them for helping me manage that.
You come to the ring as a unified champion with all the belts. It's fair to say you didn't get the respect in the build-up. And I'm not saying from Katie or from Katie's team, because they can't affect or they can't impact any of that. But you come to the ring. Talk to us about the energy that you've probably absorbed that, but in the build-up, was there an animosity? Was there any sort of resentment towards you in the build-up to that fight? Or was
me and Katie?
No, from the Irish public, from fans or around the city, or did you isolate yourself away from it?
So I was very isolated, but I do that with every fight camp, with every fight anyway. Like, I isolate myself because I don't need to be out and about, and like, know that some people like go out looking for attention and wanting their face be seen. I'm very much like, I just want to be left alone. Like, I just want to be like in my little bubble, in my little safe place, and that's where I'm happy. So for me personally, no. Like, obviously there was a few like comments and like shouting stuff, but it was like, again, it was like water for ducks back. I just laughed at it. But obviously I wasn't in the crowd, but apparently the crowd, it wasn't very nice. So like my mum and that came, and they was a bit scared. Like there was stuff that's happening, and I got backlash for saying that, because I didn't want to come back to Dublin for the second time, because my friends and family were telling me things that were happening by just some of them. And like, if they had an England flag, they were told they had to put it away. But obviously they was giving out Irish flags. So I know it's only a flag, but that's the sort of thing that was happening. And like, a lot of people that came were saying it wasn't nice. They said that it wasn't enjoyable. So when I was told that after the first fight, obviously when I was told I had to go back for the second, I really didn't want to go, because it felt like I was going to have to go on my own and have none of my family there. Like, my friends wouldn't have wanted to come. But to be fair, they did come out, because at first my mum was like, I'm not going to come, Chantelle. And I was like, fair enough. Like, I understand, that's fine. But then she did come anyway.
Of course she
Our
did.
mum's
She
tough
did.
as well, so she would have ended up throwing some hands anyway.
Of course
If
she
anyone
did.
got too rowdy with her, she would have started busting people up.
And so she should. And if there were the odd comment, and there was a pocket of that sort in Ireland, I feel like we should apologise for them, because what we've always had in this country is that fighting Irish spirit. We throw hands,
Yeah,
we throw down, we have the respect before and after the fight. Might not like each other during the fight, but it shouldn't be like that. And when the mum, and we've seen this at times over the years, there's no accounting for idiots. You can't teach idiots
but
manners, and it wasn't everybody. And I
no,
know,
yeah, I was about to say that there was a lot of like
yeah,
lovely Irish people. So I
yeah,
was told like there was so many people supportive as well, saying like, "Oh, she's beat our girl, but what a
yeah,
fighter," and saying like, "Oh yeah, she won that." So apparently there was lots of like lovely Irish, but they're also like any show you go to, there's gonna be like the bad
yeah.
and the good. But apparently, like it was quite intense. But again, I wasn't there, so I don't know. But it was what I was told. But it wasn't just told of my family. It was like people that came over to watch. They said like, yeah, it wasn't very nice.
You had a few other things on your mind, and I remember that
I was a
fight.
bit busy.
It was intriguing. And what part of that fight, Chantel, did you believe? I know you went into the fight a rock of confidence, and I remember seeing you come in. I remember thinking all the things I'd seen with Nigel. I went back and looked through all the things. Oh shit, I've misread this. I really have misread this. And I was like, okay, I have to scribble this one. And I remember watching the fight unfold. At what part of the fight did you realize I've got this? Was there a point, or was it always in the balance, or was it a controlled game plan without telling us all the hidden secrets, the trade secrets? But was there a controlled game plan throughout that? And did you realize at each step of the way that you were getting winning the big battles?
So I think with boxing, you never know, and it was kind of like I am in Dublin and I am fighting Katie Taylor. Like, have I done enough? So that was always in the back of my head. Like, this is boxing; anything can happen. So I did feel comfortable, but I didn't know I'd won. I didn't, because you just don't know with boxing. And that's with every fight I have. Every single fight I have, I never know if I've won, because you just don't know. You just don't know what the judges are looking for. But like when I was in the fight, I loved the fight. It was a great fight.
The decision gets read out,
Yeah.
and
It
still,
was
and
it
I
was
was waiting that
unbelievable.
smile. That's a world champion smile, and still.
Yeah.
Talk to us in that moment if you can, right? If you, because you're an energy person, and I believe people that are in tune with their energy and the rebel attack.
Yeah.
Can you recall that energy? Can you remember?
I just couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, I've actually done it. Like, becoming
Mhm.
undisputed was great, but to beat the legend, Katie Taylor, it was like, wow, I couldn't believe I'd done it. Like, I'll be honest, I didn't even believe I could do it. No one like fighters say like, yeah, I'm gonna win, like you're really confident.
Mhm.
He also was like, I probably ain't gonna win. Like, she's a great fighter. This is gonna be the toughest battle I've got. But you kind of have to say like you're confident, etc., etc. So I generally just couldn't believe it. I thought, what the hell have I just done? Like that was what it was. It was like, what have I just done? I can't believe I've actually done it and achieved it.
My axe to grind here, and I'm going to do this. And I put my foot, and my co-host Ian gives out to me for this at times, but I'm going to be honest because it's all I can be. What really, what really ground my gears and boiled my piss, for want of a better word, was the lack of respect that you got across media. There's been a story has been put out there before, during, and since, and I don't know who it's come. I don't know who's responsible or where it's come from, but it was trying in every way, shape, and form. You came here as the champion. You represented in style. You didn't come here to antagonize anybody. You didn't come here and piss anybody off. You didn't, after beating the iconic Katie Taylor, one of the girls, one of the fighters that I've admired and looked up to for so long, for so much, and I still do. To be fair, I'm not. This is not a case of me dissing anybody or anything else. But what gets me is that there's a selective approach sometimes with the media. There's a selective approach. We're going to shine some light on this person. We're going to shine some light on that person, and the rest of them can all do what they like. It's not fair. It's not
100%.
right.
No,
It's very
100%.
hard.
And like,
How hard is that as an athlete in your, or as a person? Take the athlete out of it. As a person, how hard is that to deal with?
I think it's like it's cruel as well, because the media like can paint a picture of you that's not true, and so many people think the media's gospel, so it can really tarnish you. Like, media's tarnished me. Like, I'm so honest. I think sometimes I'm too honest, and that's my problem. Is I should keep my mouth shut,
No,
but
don't.
I'm glad that like I am the way I am, because I'm not going to be like I'm not going to kiss anyone's ass just for people to like me. I'm not going to do that.
Well,
And if I believe something, I'm going to say it. And sometimes maybe I shouldn't. But like, if you don't like do something that people agree with or disagree with, your name can be completely tarnished. And if you upset someone that's powerful in the media, you're tarnished. Like it's going to take you a long, long time to fix that. And you probably won't fix that. And that has happened to me. Like I've been outspoken about situations that, do you know what, maybe I shouldn't have been outspoken about. But then I look at it as thinking, do you know what? No, I'm glad I did, because people are too scared to speak out and speak up. Whereas I've learned as well, like I'm more than just a boxer. Like
absolutely.
I box, but I'm also a human, and I have the right to say what I think or what I believe, and speak facts as well. And people don't want to hear facts if it doesn't suit their agenda and what they want to hear. But at the same time, as young girls that are coming up and coming through boxing, I really believe like they should they should stand up for themselves, and they shouldn't like do things just for the media to like them. Because what are you teaching them young girls, and what are you creating? It's gonna create such a fake image and a fake scenario where just be real and be yourself, and people may not like it, but at least you can hold your head high.
We were just touching a little bit, Chantelle. We'll pick it back up there. We were touching a few minutes about, and as I said, and it's genuine. It's not me pretending to be an angry or pretending to be nice, because we've seen it with you, and we've seen it with quite a few athletes and boxers in particular. When the media decide to shine their light or their version of a light on a story, there are a lot of casual fans, and the casual fans they take it as gospel. What I want to do in this, and what I know from talking to you as a person, we can't tell all the little dog stories and all the funny side of it and all the person.
No.
what we are showing is there's Chantelle, the person, is different to that person that as I said to you at one stage, I want to talk a little bit about the Chantelle, the person behind that scary world champion. That when you into that ring, there really is a morph into of a different personality. But outside that ring, it's different, and the impact of those stories on you and on your family and everything else, it's not acceptable, and it's not good enough in this day and age.
It's really horrible, you know. Like not even just saying that, but like it's a load of shit, because none of them are true. When I say to people, I'm like, this narrative that's been painted on me, you couldn't be any more wrong. Like I'm a quiet person as well. Like I'm quite shy, I'm quite reserved. I just like to fight. And you know what? I'm a really boring person. Like I really am. But like I have my friends, I have my family, like I love spending time with my loved ones, and other than that, I mind my own business. And I go to the gym, I fight now and again, and that's my life. So there's now if like I'm a moaner, I'm a whinger, I'm hard work. You even had Frank Warren do a tweet about me, how easy I am to deal with. Like like not just saying this, like my manager knows as well. I'm just like, yep, 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 yep. Like me and Anto do banter a bit though. Like we have a laugh.
We have to give a shout out to Anto, and I'm sure at this point of the interview he's probably sitting at home with his head in his hands thinking, what are they going to say? Where's he going with this? We promise you, Anto, we've got we have this. This is
I do make him pull his hair out a few times, but I just do it just to keep him on his toes. But like even he knows I'm easy to work with, I'm easy to deal with. I'm just a fighter that likes to fight. So the whole narrative about me is just you know, it's boring, and it's not nice. You know what I mean? It's just a lot of shit, and I just think you don't even know me. Like you get a media outlet paint me out to be this horrible, nasty, evil person, and it's like, right, fair enough, but you probably never even spoke to me.
Yeah, well,
and as well, like no, like some media outlets, because you're not comfortable with them, you don't like vibe with them. Do you know what I mean? Like, so they just get an impression of you that it's because you're not comfortable. Like, if you speak to someone that you can chat to, like we've been chatting privately for a while now, so we can just talk, and it's just a chat. But some media outlets, you don't know them, so, and to be fair, you think to myself, you're probably just going to clickbait, so you don't even want to do the interview really, because you think you're just going to clickbait one sentence that will say that you're going to get clickbait from, and that would be the massive headline. But I just give you another 20 answers that were brilliant, but you're not going to clickbait them because
a lot of it is fear. Do you know what it is? A lot of it is, Chantelle, it's small-mindedness, it's fear, And it's just a necessity to try and prove to be something that you're not. And Fergal McKenna, Aaron and Stevie's dad said to me a long time ago, he said, talk is camouflage for people that don't do the work. So what they'll do is they'll try and find a line or something. They'll try and pull something out of an interview or pull something out of a 50-minute interview that you do. And they'll try and turn it into something, a headline somewhere that doesn't. Anybody that takes the time, I've taken time and I really enjoy it. I absolutely do. Take the boxing aside, because there are times in this world where I go, and I said this quite a lot, and I don't drop F-bombs too often, but I just go, fuck boxing. I just want, but there's so many, it's to try and draw the line between boxing and the people in boxing. It's difficult at times because there's so many good ones. You want to be around them, but then there's the energy vampires, and I'm like, oh, don't worry, Anto, we're not going name and names. We're not going down name and names.
So
don't be worried.
that's the thing. So Anto, like, he was like, I have to do interviews. So, and I've had to say to him before, like, no, I'm going to do more. I'm going to try harder because I don't like doing anything. Whereas Anto's never told me to do this interview. I set this up with you, and he'll be like, but yeah, you're doing an interview, but he didn't have to tell me to do it. I set this up. Whereas, like,
Chantelle.
Yeah, because Anto will like, do this interview, Chantelle, come on, you need to do this, you need to speak, blah blah. And Anto like helped me, and like it's been my manager, he's pushing me to do interviews and that. But I just think they're gonna clickbait me anyway, so like I don't enjoy them.
Well, listen, you've got an open door here anytime and every time. And the next time you're in Ireland, we'll be happy to show you around some of the parts that aren't the obvious ones. We'll bring you to Donnelly's Hollow, where Dan Donnelly fought the very first Ireland-England boxing match, bare knuckle, down in a dip.
Oh, do not put a bare knuckle.
I'm following my good pal Dex Spellman is boxing in the bare knuckle at the moment, and the difference in the movement and the lateral. But no, I'm a purist. Want to get back on track and talk a little bit, because again, we see the moments there where the guard comes down, because, and it's understandable to have your guard up because the way you've been treated, the way you've been portrayed, but it's beautiful to see someone, the person, shine through and everything else. You would have been forgiven. You won your belts. You retained your titles. You could have headed for the hills and thought, right, who's next, bitches? What's next? Bring them on. You didn't. The bat signal went up again, and you gave the opportunity to our girl, Katie, and you came back. It was a different set of circumstances this time around. How difficult was it for you to come back and fight again? Was it a total different?
Horrible. Like, it was, and I lost the fight. Like, I did lose, and it wasn't my night, and it wasn't. And all credit to Katie, her game plan, it worked, and she got the win. But if on another interview I said stuff that was going on in my camp and whatnot, it was like I was just making excuses. But Claire, was it 4 or 6 weeks before?
Yeah, around 4.
Like 4 or 6 weeks before, I can't remember. It was between 4 and 6 weeks before. I had to message Anton to pulling out the fight because my dad had a scare with his health. And I can remember I trained in Liverpool. I trained in Manchester, but my family live in Northampton. And I've never ever said this before because it just looks like an excuse. And it wasn't an excuse. It's not an excuse. This happened. And obviously, like, my family come before anyone in my life that I love comes before boxing. That's a fact. And my dad had a scare where he thought he had cancer in his mouth. So I got told that, and I was like, oh my God. And I remember I rang Jamie, and I was like, I'm going home. And I went home, went back to Northampton. My dad went for the biopsy and that. And thank God, literally, thank God, it was all clear. But it must have been about a week or 10 days. I was like, I'm not fighting. Like, if my dad's got cancer in his mouth, there's not a chance, like, I'm going through this fight. My head wouldn't be in it. And it was at a point of the camp where it was, like, the important part. But my priority was my dad.
Obviously, yeah, of course.
And it was just really, really shit. And, like, on the day of the fight, and this is not if a lie, like, Nigel come to my room because, and I'm not an emotional person normally, like, I would like cry over a sad film and stuff. But I remember I cried in my room because I just had this weird feeling. I had this gut feeling where I just knew that it wasn't going to be my night. I knew I was going to lose. And Nigel come to my room and I was crying. I was just like, I don't know what's wrong with me. Something's off. And I lost that night. And it's just mad that sometimes you just know, don't you? Like, you have that gut feeling, it's going to happen.
You're an energy girl. I've said this to you. You're an energy girl. Yeah. You're tuned into your energies. You knew the first night. And this is me just picking up and reading between the lines. You knew that first night you were untouchable. It was going to take the island of Ireland and everybody on it to stop you, and we couldn't, and we didn't. And you knew that your energy was interrupted in the build up to that second. There's no excuses. That was a great.
May God strike me down now. Literally, God strike me down now if any of that's a lie. That happened, and that's what happened on my second camp. And there's other factors that were going on as well, but they were kind of irrelevant. But them two major factors is like I just knew, I was losing them belts, and I give it my all. I give it absolutely everything I had in the ring, and I froze as well. I think when the head clash happened, I think I just froze. I played into Katie's hands. I was just pushing. I was desperate, and I've never been in that position before where I've been desperate, and she beat me. So it just wasn't my night. It was a horrific night. Literally.
Any other fight in this era? We've seen Turkey Al-Sheikh come to boxing. We've seen fights in the last 3 years. We've seen incredible trilogies. We've seen incredible matchups. We've seen fights made that should never happen. We've seen Crawford. We've seen Canelo. We've seen Bivol, Beterbiev. We've seen them all. You tell me one of those scenarios where they go 1-1 and there's not a rubber match. It doesn't happen. It cannot happen in this day and age. I don't want to get controversial about it. I promise you I wouldn't. I promised Anto, well, I haven't spoken to Anto, but I don't want him to be fighting fires. But in your words, Chantelle, in my words, it's bullshit that a fighter is led up to the sanctioning body calls, and this is me saying this, the sanctioning body calls for the rematch. The purse bids are weighted. You're given 10, whatever, you're given 30 days. We were talking in that time. We were talking throughout that time. So this is not something that's come up just because you've just become the world champion again. But that whole process was dragged out and dragged out and dragged out. Yeah. What matters now is you're the world champion. Nobody can take that away from you. That green belt is going to arrive some of these days in a box, and you're going to have another one.
Let's hope.
Mama Cameron's going to have to get an even bigger mantelpiece to put it up on. Your dad is healthy. You've changed the camp around. Before I get on to your camp and everything else, that whole process, it has to leave a dirty taste. It has to leave a bad taste without getting controversial, without getting nasty. Yeah. There's no other scenario in boxing at the moment that third match doesn't happen, is there?
So I'll let you know something as well. And again, this is gospel. And I don't care about saying it anymore because I get backlash anyway. So
hold your head, Anto. Watch out, Anto. Here we go.
She's going off on a tangent. It didn't last long.
Love this.
So when I did lose the fight, me and Nigel were in a room getting stitched up, and I got backlash again for not sticking around the ring, which maybe I should have, but also my head was open. My head was gushing with blood. Like, my priority was going to get my head stitched up. Like, I didn't really want to stand around and be in the ring when I just lost my fight anyway. But my bigger priority was getting my head stitched up because I had a big gash in my head. So me and Nigel were getting stitched up, and again, you're a witness here, aren't you? Yeah. So in the changing room where my team was, so Jamie, my family, Eddie, everyone there, I wasn't there. All that was told is, don't worry, the trilogy, she'll get 1.5 million, it's fine. The trilogy, she'll get this, she'll get that. And everyone that knows me said it's not about the money. Obviously, that would have been really nice money, to be fair. If it would have been brilliant, but but at the time, it didn't matter about the money. I was like heartbroken. I'd lost. I was like, I don't want to box again. Blah blah blah. Was really heartbroken. And then when it comes to the negotiations, I accepted a third of that. So I was getting a hell of a lot less money than the first two fights.
It doesn't surprise me.
I was ready to sign on the dotted lines. So it was not about money. I'd literally accepted a third of what was said in that changing room after I lost. Yeah. And I was ready to go back to the Free Arena May the 25th, right? And then it never happened because whatever happened, decisions were made. But yeah, so that's the God's honest truth. So that's how much I wanted the trilogy, that I was willing to do anything to settle that score for one point.
I again, taking all allegiances aside, taking Irish side, taking my love and my admiration for what Katie's done and for being able to see the wood through the trees. It doesn't surprise me, Chantelle, because the little bit I'm getting to know of you, it gets to a point with an athlete, it gets to a point with a champion, and talking to people around it, knowing people, it's not that it's not about money, because you're.
I just want pain, yeah.
Of course you do. You're an elite athlete. You know, you've only got so many years to make this money.
It generally wasn't about the money. Like, I wanted my belts back. I wanted to win because I knew I could. I know I can, and I know I would. And I knew that if we did have the trilogy, then I would have done everything in my power, and I think I would have been an absolute monster. I think I would have been unstoppable again. I think I would have been like fight number one, but 10 times as better. I was going to say on steroids then, but I thought, no, I shouldn't say that.
No, Jesus, October, what are we doing?
Joking. Not steroids, but you know what I mean? I would have been 10 times better, and it would have been like, I would have been guns blazing. I would have been unbelievable. But again, it's just, it happens. Like, you don't always get the fights you want, and I didn't get the fight I wanted. And I got to get on with that now, because it's kind of history.
My word to you before we started this was there'd be no clickbait, there'd be no controversy, there'd be no nonsense. It's an open forum. It's almost Switzerland. But what it is what I did say is I want to talk about Chantelle, the person. A lot changed for Chantelle after that fight. You not only the belts and everything else will heal, the stitches will heal, the moody, grumpy,
That's what changed.
All that lift, because eventually what you do is you warriors, you go back to what you do, and then you look to your team changed. I think it's fair to say the lads were more than coaches. They were more than, I'm not going to go, I'm going to leave you and ask you, just a lot changed. Your promoter changed, your team changed. There's a couple of different changes, and talk a little bit about that in your words. But right now it feels like we've got, maybe for the first time, and this is just as somebody who's looking in from the outside, it feels like for the first time, you've got all the places and people in places that are 100% team Chantelle Cameron. Is that fair to say?
But like, not just saying this either. Again, I really ain't just saying this. I feel like last year was my like transition year. Like last year was kind of like, I had my first loss. I was bouncing back. I wasn't even sure if I wanted to carry on boxing, because again, I was sick and tired of the backlash I was getting. I was just sick and tired of boxing. I was like, it's an absolute joke. Like, doesn't matter what a good boxer you are. If your face don't fit, what's the point? Like, and that was my last year. Is I was just sick and tired of boxing. I was just like, I've had enough. But I love fighting, and I generally do love fighting. And again, it was my decision to either walk from boxing or give it one last shot. And I can remember, like, again, me and Stephen were like sending like, we spoke a few times on Instagram, but nothing about training. He's not that kind of guy. Like, he wouldn't coach you or anything. It was just like genuine chit chat. Like, he'll reply to a story or just like, oh, how are you? Just like, it was like nothing in it. But I just thought, what a nice guy. Like, what a lovely guy. And obviously, Anto's very close to the Smith brothers. And I was up here I think I was meeting Anto, probably just bothering Anto, annoying him at the time, thinking I'm bored. I'm gonna come annoy Anto. And had a coffee with Stephen, and it just gelled. Again, energy, it just worked. And best decision I've made. What a guy. And he's made me fall back in love with boxing again, because he's made it enjoyable. Whereas loads of nonsense is going on in boxing right now, but I'm so happy in my little safe place in the gym that all that is going on is like crack on. But I'm happy where I'm at. And you know what? It's like the best feeling. I've not had it for, I don't know, a long time.
Probably the most difficult question I'm going to have to ask in this podcast now, and I don't want to offend anybody, and please, my Liverpool brethren, because I always say Liverpool is like an extension. We have counties in Ireland, and we've 32 of them, and I always say Liverpool is like the 33rd county of Ireland. But the biggest part, the biggest question, and the most difficult, and you have to be honest in this now. This is one from a world champion to the boxing world. Which accent is harder to understand, Liverpool or Irish? Got you going there. You got to be
Liverpool. I'll say Liverpool. When I first come up here and I was training with Stephen, I thought, what are you saying? I just happened to like go with the pads, because sometimes I'll be thinking, I can't understand a word you're saying. And it'll be I'll be like lip reading him, and he'll be thinking, what's she staring at? But it's just because I had no idea what he was saying. But now I've been up here a few months, well, like half a year, I'm getting onto the Liverpool accent, but it is tricky. Yeah, I think his brother Paul is really hard to understand.
And tell me this: Have you? Will Tasha be around? Is Tasha? I mean, what an ambassador! Part of one of your amateur teams. She's an incredible lady. She's got it all. Absolutely got it all. She'll be able to translate for you when Stephen and that is around. But something else that's kind of become a pattern over the last few weeks and months with the different gyms and the different stables you've been in. You've got quite a few Irish around. You've got Keevan there now, which is a different Irish accent. The Belfast accent is tricky at times too, but what a
that
fighter.
Is hard. I used to struggle with Cal Frampton's accent and Stephen Ward's, and now I've got Keevan's.
I forgot you were there for Carl and the big Stevie Ward and Carl double act. What a double act.
I really struggle with the Belfast accent. I do struggle with that.
But what you find about those Belfast guys is they're so brutally honest. They're so brutally humble. They're so
great people. All of them are great people.
Fantastic people. I mean, long before I was podcasting, I was part of Carl Frampton's fan club, and I used to follow him around the country. I followed him up and down. We went to all the fights, and by extension of that, I've become good pals with Jazza Dickens. I've become good pals with there's quite a few around. Stacey Copeland, of course, she's Manchester. But
she's brilliant. Yeah.
That amateur setup again, it comes back down to you're starting to see it now. The team that you were part of with Amanda Coulson, with Sav, with incredible team. They're all starting to make their own way now in the boxing world, really, in the pro world, aren't they?
Yeah, it's been. I was around on GB at a really good time. It was like a good bunch of people.
Well, you played as big a part of that, Chantelle, as anybody else. But we've come now, I suppose, to the part, the big news and the most important part from point of view, and this is going to be a shameless plug for MVP and anybody that's there that wants to watch and listen, to have a little bit of a listen and have a little bit of a look. But this right now is probably the biggest move of your career. These are the golden years of your career. You're back on top where you belong, rightly so, let me say. No bias, anything else. Until that fight is signed, me and you're going to have to just disconnect for a little while. And if that fight... But the biggest question I really want to ask...
Message you on Instagram. Okay,
the biggest question to ask you, and it's your opinion and your thoughts. Do you think at any point that we will see the third fight in that series?
I don't think... no, it's not going to happen. My part, I would love it to happen. Again, not about money. Like, there's comments people saying I'm skin, I'm desperate, I'm this and that. And I just think, you're so narrow-minded. I'm a fighter. I lost my belts and I took a loss. I want to revenge my loss. Simply it. Of course I want to get paid. Don't everyone want to get paid? Of course I want my belts back. And when I beat Katie had the chance to redeem herself. Exactly, yeah. It sucks for me because I lost and I've not had a chance to redeem myself. So that just sucks for me. That's just personal. Like, it's very personal. And financially, I'm okay. I'm good with money. I'm smart with money. I have good people around me. It isn't about the money. It's about right is right and wrong is wrong. It's one apiece.
You're back. You're top of the pile. You're world champion, green belt, MVP behind you. That move with Jake Paul, with Sinise, with all those guys behind you. Incredible. Talk to us how that happened and the next steps for you, and we let you go then, because I don't want you or Claire getting hangry or anything else.
So it was actually, what were them? So it was actually Anto and Queensbury. And by the way, Queensbury, brilliant, amazing.
A big shout out to Uncle Frank as well.
Absolutely amazing. Like, again, they was with me at a point of my career where I wish I was their world champion, if that makes sense. Like, I wish I had my undisputed times with them, because great people, all of them. The Warrens, what a beautiful team and family. Like, just really good people, and love their boxing. And I've had nothing but good times with them and like good experiences. Yeah. But it was kind of Anto and Queensbury were kind of like, they weren't able to get me the fights. They was offering the fights to good names and they didn't want the fights. So it was kind of like MVP is signing all these good names. It made sense for me to move over to MVP. Like, MVP were making these huge movements with women's boxing, and Jake Paul was really like gone above and beyond for women's boxing, and it was the only move that made sense. So massive shout out to Anto and Queensbury, because they allowed me to leave my contract to go with MVP and really open up doors for me. And again, now with MVP and Jake Paul and Akisa and Mike as well, who does all the behind the scenes and that, they've been so supportive of me. Like, they really have. I'm not just saying this, I'm with them now, I'm like blowing smoke at their ass, because that's what people do to get fights and stuff, whereas I don't think I need to do that. They just they're looking after the women's boxing, where everyone else kind of turned their back on the women's boxing.
There's big names over there. and you're the biggest name of them all at the moment. You're on that horizon. There's belts to be got. I'm getting a feeling. I've got an name for this episode already because you said it to me 3 times. I love Chantelle Cameron. I love fighting. That's it. That's it. There's a T-shirt with your name on that.
I just love fighting. Like, I'm going to bare knuckle if this boxing.
Oh no! You've got unfinished business here yet, anyways. But
if this boxing doesn't work out for me, I don't get these undisputed belts back again, I may just sign up to bare knuckle. That's a joke, really. Well, I may. Who knows?
You're an energy girl. I think you feel the energy the same as I do. The energy that you're talking to me about around the Smiths, the energy that you're talking to me about being around Liverpool, the way that you have your team set up. You've got people behind you. You've got Anto there pushing you. You've got pushing. Doors are open for you. And listen, Chantelle, there's some people are never going to accept people. There's some people are never going to support you, like you, or follow you. That's fine. That's fine.
Absolutely fine. Yeah,
that's fine.
Just don't like shit on social media because, like,
if you're not going to be, if you're not with us, get out of the way because you're in our way.
Yeah,
you know,
100%.
It's been a real.
It wasn't nice to say. Just saying nothing at all. That's the problem with social media. It gives people a voice where it makes them feel powerful behind a keyboard. But what are you getting out of that? Like, really? And I can honestly say I've never trolled someone on social media because I don't see the point. I don't get nothing out of ruining someone's day. Obviously, if I don't like them, I'd have an argument with to their face, but I wouldn't go behind a fake account and write shit about them online because what am I getting out of that? I'm just a coward.
I have a couple of little trolls that I take out of the box every now and then. They message me now and then and they ask me and they give me shit about this, that, and the other. And I take them out of the box. When they're annoying me enough, I just let them out of the box for a little while. I'll torment them like a spider. I'll maybe pull their leg off and I'll put them back.
That's so funny because we've done sometimes we call them. We bang them. Like we'll just go on a little mad one thinking, do you know what? Actually, no, I'm not thinking about this. So I'll bring them up. And honestly, the whole attitude changes. It completely changes. And you just think, block. Had my little phone call, put you in your box, and I'm going to block you now.
I can't remember his name. It was an ex-British champion who trained with Dave Caldwell. He was a former footballer and he did something similar. He found a troll that was giving him some untold shit online. And he got out, he found out who he was, and he started messaging him at the top of your street now, mate. I'm at house number.
Yeah, I remember that. That's happened a couple of times as well. Sonny Edwards got a troll to the gym.
Listen, Sonny Edwards is the king of trolls. He's the absolute king. And I tell you this much, he's the king of pundits at the moment because the way he's calling fights and everything else.
Yeah.
Chantelle, I could talk to you easily all day and all night. I really have looked forward to this and I look forward to watching and chatting to you and getting to know you a lot more in the future. I can't finish the episode without asking you 2 things. One is, what can we expect from you from the future? Is there anything you can tell us? Is there anything coming down the line? And the other thing I'm going to ask you is just to pick a song for the playlist. And is there a go-to song or does it change too often? And after that, I promise you and Claire, go and enjoy your evening. And thank you so much for giving me your time.
But who sings that Stuck in the Middle song? I'm really feeling the minute.
Oh, Pulp Fiction.
I don't know who the artist is. Stuck in the Middle. I'm not going to sing it.
Okay, go on, sing it. Go on. Go on, sing it. Go on, get Claire to sing it.
Steelers Wheel. Steelers Wheel.
Steelers Wheel. Wow, that's an old rock track. Yeah, that's from Pulp Fiction. Okay, Chantelle's entry to our Spotify playlist is going to be that. And last but not least, the most, I suppose, for whatever you can tell us, and there's probably not, Anto's probably sitting with his head in his hands again. But is there anything you can tell us that's coming up, or are we likely to see out before Christmas?
So yeah, I'm hoping I'm going to be out before Christmas. I really am hoping, but don't know how much I can say. But there's something I'm a big advocate for. And I'm hoping that my next fight, I'm going to be doing what I've been wanting for a long, long time.
Go do your homework on that one, people. It's not too hard to find. She's a special character. She's a real character. And the person behind the whole boxer is even more amazing than the champion himself. Chantelle, it's been worth looking for. It's been worth perseverance. It's been worth waiting for. I really do appreciate you and your time. And thank you for joining us. It's been a privilege and a pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.